I'm going to show you how to mimic photographic effects in 3D to achieve some stunning results. Hey, what's up? I'm David Ariew, and I'm a 3D motion designer and educator, and I'm going to help you make your renders better. In this video, you'll learn how to create various types of bokeh to enhance the shallow depth of field in your renders and simulate different kinds of lenses, desaturate your highlights in render and add tasteful amounts of bloom, effectively use lens flares, vignetting, and lens distortion, and add in effects like chromatic aberration, motion blur, and film grain. If you want more ideas to improve your renders, make sure to grab our PDF of 10 tips in the description. Now let's get started. If you study lenses and all their properties, you're way more likely to create a beautiful render. There are a lot of these properties to look at, so let's jump in. First off, there's shallow depth of field, which is pretty obvious, but with shallow depth of field comes many different flavors of bokeh that you might not be aware of. For example, here's a sci-fi tunnel render I created without shallow depth of field. When we add some in, it immediately looks more photographic. Now when I crank the aperture, we can really see the bokeh. Here we've got the standard bokeh in Octane, but if I go over here and turn up the aperture edge, we get a more semi-transparent center to the bokeh and a more defined edge, which happens in cameras and looks more natural to me. Next, we can play with various shapes. By taking down the roundness, we can create hexagonal bokeh, which happens with lenses with only 6 blades in their aperture. We can also stretch out the bokeh to a 2:1 aspect and create anamorphic bokeh, because anamorphic lenses have an oval-shaped aperture. I tend to gravitate towards this look because anamorphic lenses are just really pretty. Another property of lenses you may not have thought of is that as the highlights get brighter, they desaturate. Many renderers have a way to mimic this effect in render. For example, here in Octane, there's a saturate to white slider. Here's what the neon lights in the tunnel look like before that, just an unrealistic flat saturated color, and here's what it looks like after. Now we've got a nice white hot core that falls off to a saturated color, and that's much more realistic. Another common photographic effect is blooming highlights, or just a subtle amount of glow that happens to the highest highlights when light bounces around inside the lens. Here in Octane we can turn on the bloom, but this is something I see far too often, when artists crank the bloom and it's applied to everything across the board. Thankfully, Octane now has a cutoff slider, which allows for only the highest highlights to bloom out. A little goes a long way here, but it creates a nice soft effect that gets away from that overly crisp and harsh look of CG. Similar to bloom is lens flares, and I probably don't need to mention these as everyone pretty much knows about them. This effect comes from the light bouncing around and refracting in the various lens elements and is often used as an intentional stylistic effect. Very strong sources like the sun typically flare out, so if you want to go the extra mile, it can be great to composite these in with something like Video Copilot's optical flares. At some point, Octane has plans to add in true 3D flares into Octane too, so that'll be awesome and much easier than comping them in. Another big photographic effect is vignetting, and one reason I like to do this in render versus in After Effects is that it will actually recover highlights on the edges of frame versus here in After Effects where if I bring down the white point, we just clamp the values down to gray. Lenses also have various kinds of distortion, which isn't usually accounted for by default in 3D. An obvious example is a fisheye lens, and recently I used this heavy barrel distortion look in some concert visuals for Keith Urban. Here's the shot before and after. It can create some additional believability because we're used to seeing various levels of distortion in photos and in film. Next, we've got chromatic aberration, and this is another one that I feel many artists overuse. Often the easiest is just to add this effect in After Effects by splitting the red, green, and blue channels, and then by offsetting them on the edges of frame with optics compensation, one copy of the effect that distorts outwards and another that distorts inwards, and then recombining them. Redshift can actually pull in an image like one of these to create a super nice chromatic aberration in render. With Octane, the solution is a bit weirder, but for now the way I'm doing it in 3D is to attach a glass sphere to just in front of the camera and up the dispersion slightly, which creates a similar RGB split. It's a bit more render intensive, but creates a more true chromatic aberration, and a cheaper solution for this is coming soon to Octane 2. Motion blur is another effect that we associate with film and video, but is often used in photography, for instance streaking water, or star trails, or just the motion blur from people dancing. This happens when the shutter is left open longer than normal. Sometimes this can be a great effect to imply motion in our renders. For instance, here's a render of some cars I created that are supposedly racing, but it doesn't feel very fast because there's nothing to imply that motion. Once we add the motion blur in, it feels a lot more dynamic. To do this, I'm just attaching the camera to the same null that's moving the car, and then putting an Octane object tag on the car so that Octane knows that it's moving in relation to the camera. Without the tag, the car will just streak out too. Here's several more renders from this set. Another option could be to just animate the camera with a couple keyframes and then turn on motion blur for a POV shot in our cyberpunk city like this. Finally, film grain can be a nice photographic effect to add some texture if it's not overdone, and the add grain filter in After Effects is great for this. By keeping these tips in mind, you'll be well on your way to consistently creating awesome renders. If you want to learn more ways to improve your renders, make sure to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon so you'll be notified when we drop the next tip.